The commercial real estate job search process is unique in a lot of different ways, and if you've never gone through this process before, you might not know what to expect when you're first trying to break in. And over the last 3.5 years, I've been able to gather a lot of different data points from Academy members going through this process in real time, seeing the same types of questions that end up popping up over and over again that you might also be wondering if you're applying for roles in the industry. So to make sure you know what to expect, when to expect those things, and how to prepare to land the kinds of jobs you're looking for in the commercial real estate industry specifically, in this video, let's walk through 4 of the most commonly asked questions about the commercial real estate job search process and my answers to each. So question number 1 on this list is extremely relevant for planning purposes, especially if you're transitioning from another industry or coming up on graduation, and this is, how long should this process actually take? Now, obviously, this is going to depend on a lot of different factors, including your experience in the industry, your existing connections in commercial real estate, and your Excel and financial modeling skill set going into the process. But in most cases, for most people who are committed to landing a full-time role in the industry, it usually takes about 2 to 6 months in total from the time someone starts the application process to actually landing an offer that they're excited to accept. And this process usually consists of 2 main parts, with the first part being a dual track of tightening up your resume and LinkedIn profile and running informational interviews to build your industry network, and the second part being a transition into firing off applications, going through the interview process itself, and negotiating offers to find the best fit. And the next question on this list is directly related to this interview process, and this is also a 2-part question, and this is, how many rounds of interviews should I expect, and will I be given an Excel test during the process? And to address the Excel test question first, the answer is probably, but this really depends on what types of roles you're applying for and how analytical those positions are going to be. If you're applying for jobs in leasing, pure sales roles, or other positions in the industry where your day-to-day responsibilities are going to be primarily focused on outreach to current and potential clients, in my experience, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to be given an Excel test at any point in the process. However, if you're applying for roles in acquisitions, asset management, investment sales, capital markets, or debt and equity placement, your chances of seeing an Excel exam at some point in the process go way up, and this is definitely something you're going to want to prepare for if you're trying to end up in positions like these. And as far as how many rounds you should expect, in most cases, 3 to 5 rounds of interviews tends to be about par for the course for commercial real estate roles, and if you are given an Excel exam, this tends to be one of the very last steps before you're extended an offer. This is why, in my opinion, it's so important to prepare for these up front, since the last thing you want to do is go through weeks or even months of in-person interviews just to get to the last stage of the process and end up being disqualified because you failed the exam. Now, aside from how long the process is going to take and what's going to be included in this process, a lot of people also want to know the level of the jobs they should be shooting for when they're first starting out in the industry, which leads me to question number 3 on this list, which is, can I apply for jobs that require 1 to 2 years of experience even if I don't have it? And my answer to this question is absolutely yes, especially if these are only entry-level analyst positions. In most cases, the experience requirements for these types of roles are more of a suggestion rather than a rule, and especially if you have a few months of related internship experience under your belt, or you've taken courses or earned certifications that directly demonstrate your knowledge and abilities to do the tasks that are going to be required within the job description, it's very unlikely that you're going to be completely disqualified up front just because you don't have 1 to 2 full years of full-time experience. The people who actually do fit this experience requirement are usually not going to be the ones applying for entry-level roles in the first place, and instead these people are going to be focused on senior analyst or associate level positions, meaning that it's pretty unlikely that you're actually going to end up competing with many or any other job candidates that actually fit this requirement. Now, obviously, there is an upper limit to this, and in most cases, it's probably not going to be worth your time to apply for jobs that require 3 or more years of experience when you're first trying to break into the industry. But in general, aside from the time you have to take to actually put together an application in the first place, there's usually not much to lose by throwing your hat in the ring for an open position. Now, especially for people that are coming straight out of undergrad or grad school, the optimal timing of their applications also tends to be a big question mark, which leads me to question number 4 on this list, which is when should I start applying for jobs if I'm not ready to take on a full-time role right now? And my answer to this really has 2 main parts, with the first being about you as the applicant, and the second being about the needs and the timeline of the companies that you're trying to work for. In most cases, I would highly recommend at least making sure you have the core commercial real estate finance and financial modeling fundamentals down before applying for jobs, since adding these skill sets to your resume can be a huge help in landing interviews in the first place, and also being able to talk through these concepts with a hiring manager, or like we talked about earlier, being able to pass an Excel exam if one is given to you during the process. But once you have the fundamentals down, the time frame really depends on when you're going to be available to take on that new role, and also the recruiting timeline of the specific companies that you're looking to work for. Most firms in the commercial real estate industry operate with what's referred to as a just-in-time hiring process, meaning that they won't know their employment needs until there actually becomes an immediate need for someone to fill a position, and it usually doesn't make sense to fire off an application unless you're actually going to be ready to start the position in the next 2 to 3 months. Now, the exception to this can sometimes be when you're trying to land roles at major private equity firms or real estate investment banking shops, since these types of companies can tend to have a more traditional recruiting process, like one that you might see for general investment banking or consulting roles, with applications opening up in the summer or fall for an entire incoming analyst class that would start the following summer. However, in most cases, for jobs at small to medium-sized commercial real estate firms, which make up the vast majority of the industry as a whole, you won't even be considered for a role unless it's very clear on your resume that you'd be able to start the position in the next 60 to 90 days. This means that if you're heading into your senior year of college right now, or your final year of grad school, then you're still 9 to 12 months out from graduation. While it does make sense to keep your eye out for a small handful of firms that might already be recruiting for an incoming analyst class that would start next summer, you'll generally want to place most of your focus on building your technical skill set and building your network in the industry right now up until about January or February of next year. And at that time, this is when I'd really start to double down on the application and interview process. So there's a lot of information here, but to sum up my answers to these questions and give you some key takeaways to prepare for this process yourself, plan for the job search to last about 2 to 6 months. Don't limit your applications based on experience requirements that make you just slightly underqualified for a role. Take the time to prepare for an Excel exam, especially if you're targeting jobs with a major technical component. And remember that most firms in commercial real estate operate on a just-in-time hiring basis. So if you're graduating in May or June and still don't have a job lined up by January, there's no need to panic, and you're most likely right on schedule. Now, obviously, this can be a pretty overwhelming process, so if you want some more help with preparing for applications and interviews, or you just want to make sure that your technical skill set is where it needs to be to pass an Excel modeling exam, as always, make sure to check out our all-in-one membership training platform, Breaking a CRE Academy. A membership to the Academy will give you instant access to over 120 hours of video training on real estate financial modeling and analysis. You get access to hundreds of practice Excel interview exam questions, sample acquisition case studies, our entire library of pre-built acquisition, development, and waterfall models for multifamily, industrial, office, retail, and mixed-use deals, and you'll also get access to private one-on-one email-based career coaching if you're looking to break into the industry and want some additional guidance and feedback along the way. And if you like this video and want to see more content on this channel on commercial real estate job applications and interviews, make sure to hit the like button to let me know, and let me know in the comments any other questions you have about this process that you'd like to see covered in a future video on the channel. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next video.